Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Have you ever lost something valuable just because of one wrong word, one reckless emotion, one bad financial decision, or one negative thought? Maybe it was a relationship ruined by harsh words. Maybe it was a dream shattered by self-doubt. Maybe it was an opportunity wasted because of uncontrolled emotions. We all have experienced moments where a lack of self-control has cost us something precious. But here's the truth: the strongest people in the world are not those who control others, they are those who control themselves. Today, I am here to tell you that if you master 4 things: your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind, you will master your life. And by the time you finish listening to this, you will realize that self-control is not just a skill, it is your superpower. Your words are more powerful than you think. Every sentence you speak has the ability to shape your reality, either for the better or for the worse. Imagine walking into a room where someone greets you with warmth, enthusiasm, and encouragement. Instantly, your mood shifts, your confidence grows, and you feel valued. Now imagine the opposite: a harsh tone, a dismissive remark, or a sarcastic comment that makes you doubt yourself. The way people speak to us has a profound effect on how we feel, but even more importantly, the way we speak to others determines how they perceive us and how our relationships unfold. Throughout history, words have started wars and created peace. They have built empires and torn them down. A single sentence has the power to heal or to destroy, yet so often we underestimate the impact of the words we let out of our mouths. Have you ever said something in anger and later regretted it? Have you ever hurt someone unintentionally, only to realize later that you could never take back what you said? Words once spoken cannot be erased. They leave marks, sometimes deep scars, sometimes lasting inspiration. Many of us speak without thinking, without realizing that the words we choose are shaping our reputation, our relationships, and our future. The greatest leaders, the most admired individuals, and the happiest families all have one thing in common: they understand the power of words. They know that the right words can lift someone up from despair, while careless words can break even the strongest soul. If you want to build a life of respect, trust, and influence, you must first learn to control your mouth. There is a reason why silence is often considered wisdom. Not everything needs to be said. Not every thought needs to be expressed. Sometimes the greatest power lies in restraint, the ability to hold back when anger is rising, to pause before reacting, and to choose words with intention instead of impulse. This is what sets apart those who are respected from those who are feared. Think about the most admired individuals you know. Are they loud, reckless, and always speaking without consideration? Or are they the ones who listen more, speak with purpose, and use their words to encourage, motivate, and inspire? The people who truly command respect are not those who talk the most, but those who speak with clarity and wisdom. Every time you speak, you are either building a connection or creating a distance. Words can bring people together, but they can also push them apart. One negative comment can create a wall between you and someone you care about. One careless remark can damage years of trust. On the other hand, one kind word can heal wounds, one encouraging statement can change a life, and one honest conversation can restore broken relationships. This is why it is crucial to be mindful of what you say. Before you speak, ask yourself: will this word bring light, or will whistle? Will this statement build someone up, or will it tear them down? Is what I am about to say necessary, or is it simply my ego wanting to be heard? The answers to these questions can determine the course of your relationships, your career, and even your self-esteem. It is not just about how we speak to others, but also about how we speak to ourselves. The words you tell yourself every day shape your mindset, your confidence, and your ability to overcome challenges. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, that you will fail, or that you are not worthy, your mind will believe it. But if you replace those words with strength, courage, and belief in yourself, you will start to see yourself differently. Self-talk is one of the most powerful forces in life. What you repeat to yourself daily becomes your truth. If you fill your mind with negative words, your life will reflect that negativity. If you feed your thoughts with encouragement, self-respect, and determination, your actions will follow suit. The words you whisper to yourself when no one else is listening matter just as much as the words you say out loud. One of the most common mistakes people make is assuming that their words do not have consequences. But everything you say leaves an imprint, whether you realize it or not. A single word can destroy someone's confidence, make someone question their worth, or push someone into despair. On the other hand, a single word of kindness, encouragement, or love can save someone from giving up, inspire them to chase their dreams, or remind them of their strength. In moments of anger, frustration, or disappointment, it is easy to let words slip without thinking. But in those moments, controlling your mouth is more important than ever. Take a deep breath before you respond. Ask yourself whether what you are about to say will bring a solution or just add fuel to the fire. Many conflicts could be avoided, many relationships could be saved, and many regrets could be prevented simply by pausing before speaking. The ability to control your words is not about suppressing your emotions or being silent all the time. It is about speaking with purpose, choosing your words with wisdom, and using your voice to create positivity instead of pain. It is about knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to express yourself and when to listen. If you want to be remembered for the right reasons, if you want people to trust you, respect you, and value your presence, start by controlling your mouth. Speak less but with more meaning. Replace criticism with encouragement. Speak with kindness, even in difficult moments. And above all, understand that your words are a reflection of your character. Speak as the person you want to be remembered as. Your mood is like a silent force that shapes your decisions, your relationships, and your overall quality of life. It determines how you react to situations, how you treat people, and how you handle challenges. Many people believe that moods are something that just happen to us, as if we have no control over them. But the truth is, our mood is not just an emotional state, it is a choice. Every single day, we decide whether we allow our emotions to control us or whether we take control of them. Think about the last time you were in a bad mood. Maybe something went wrong at work, maybe someone said something that upset you, or maybe you just woke up feeling irritated for no apparent reason. In that state, how did you treat the people around you? How did it affect your productivity? How did it shape the rest of your day? Now imagine the opposite. Think about a day when you were in a great mood, when you felt happy, confident, and at peace. Everything seemed easier, people responded to you more positively, and even challenges didn't feel as overwhelming. The difference between those two scenarios is not just external circumstances, it is how you allowed yourself to feel in response to them. Moods are powerful, but they are not uncontrollable. They are influenced by our thoughts, our habits, our environment, and the people we surround ourselves with. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that their mood is dictated by external factors. I'm in a bad mood because of the weather. I'm upset because of what they said to me. I'm frustrated because things didn't go as planned. But if your mood is always controlled by things outside of you, then you will never truly be in control of your life. You will always be at the mercy of circumstances, constantly shifting between happiness and frustration depending on what happens around you. The most successful, happy, and emotionally strong people understand that mood management is an essential life skill. They don't allow small inconveniences to ruin their entire day. They don't let the negativity of others dictate how they feel. They choose their mood with intention, knowing that it impacts every aspect of their life. This is not about ignoring your emotions or pretending to be happy all the time. It is about developing the ability to shift your mood when needed, to rise above negativity, and to not let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. One of the most effective ways to control your mood is to control your thoughts. What you think about determines how you feel. If you constantly dwell on problems, disappointments, and things that make you unhappy, your mood will reflect that. But if you choose to focus on solutions, on gratitude, and on the things that bring you joy, your mood will shift accordingly. It is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing where you direct your energy. Have you ever noticed that some people remain calm even in the most stressful situations, while others explode over the smallest inconveniences? The difference is not in their circumstances, it is in their mindset. Those who remain composed have trained themselves to react differently. They don't allow external events to dictate their internal state. They recognize that losing control of their mood doesn't fix the problem, it only makes it worse. Another important factor in mood control is the environment you create for yourself. The people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, the music you listen to, and even the way you start your morning all influence your mood. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, whether it's through toxic relationships, negative news, or self-destructive habits, your mood will naturally reflect that. But if you intentionally create an environment that supports positivity, growth, and peace, your mood will follow. Your habits also play a crucial role. Physical activity, healthy eating, quality sleep, and mindfulness practices all have a direct impact on your emotional state. Many people underestimate the connection between their physical health and their mood. A lack of sleep, a poor diet, or a sedentary lifestyle can make you feel irritable, anxious, or depressed without you even realizing why. But when you take care of your body, you give yourself a much stronger foundation for emotional stability. One of the biggest challenges in mood control is dealing with difficult people and situations. There will always be individuals who try to provoke you, circumstances that test your patience, and moments that make you feel overwhelmed. But in those situations, you have a choice. You can either react impulsively and allow your emotions to take over, or you can take a step back, breathe, and respond with intention. The ability to stay calm in difficult situations is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. It not only prevents unnecessary conflict, but also gives you a sense of control over your own emotions. There is also great power in learning to detach from temporary emotions. Not every bad moment has to turn into a bad day. Not every argument has to ruin your peace of mind. Not every disappointment has to define your entire week. When you develop emotional resilience, you become less reactive and more centered. You understand that moods are fleeting and you learn to navigate them without letting them control you. A common mistake people make is allowing their mood to dictate their actions. When they feel unmotivated, they stop working towards their goals. When they feel irritated, they lash out at others. When they feel discouraged, they give up too soon. But the most successful individuals don't let their mood determine their discipline. They show up even when they don't feel like it. They stay committed to their goals even when they're not in the mood to do so. They understand that emotions come and go, but actions build results. The way you handle your mood affects everything: your relationships, your career, your personal growth, and even your physical health. When you let frustration control you, you push people away. When you let negativity take over, you miss out on opportunities. But when you learn to regulate your emotions, you gain the ability to approach life with clarity, wisdom, and strength. Moods are like waves. They rise and fall, but you don't have to be controlled by them. You can learn to ride them, to understand them, and to shift them when necessary. The more you practice mood control, the more power you have over your life. And when you master this skill, you become unshakable, no matter what life throws your way. Loneliness is often perceived as something negative, something to be avoided at all costs. People associate it with sadness, emptiness, and a lack of fulfillment. But solitude, when embraced with the right mindset, can be one of the most enriching experiences of life. It is in solitude that we truly come to understand ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, and our deepest desires. It is in solitude that we discover our own strength, our own resilience, and our own ability to be content without relying on external sources of happiness. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with being alone is because they are constantly seeking distractions. They fill their time with social interactions, digital consumption, and external noise to avoid confronting their own thoughts. They fear the silence, thinking that if they stop to listen, they might not like what they hear. But running away from oneself only leads to a deeper sense of dissatisfaction. The more we avoid solitude, the more we depend on others for our sense of happiness, and the more vulnerable we become to feelings of emptiness when those external sources are no longer available. Being happy alone starts with the ability to sit with yourself in stillness. It is about learning to be comfortable in your own presence without the need for constant stimulation or validation. It is about looking inward and acknowledging your thoughts, your fears, your dreams, and your emotions without judgment. When you allow yourself to fully experience your own mind without distractions, you begin to develop a deeper understanding of who you are. You realize that you are not defined by your relationships, your achievements, or how others perceive you. You are defined by your inner world, your values, and your ability to find peace within yourself. Many people view relationships and social interactions as the primary source of happiness. They believe that in order to feel fulfilled, they need to be loved, appreciated, and surrounded by people who care about them. While relationships are important, they should never be the foundation of your happiness. Happiness that depends on others is fragile and temporary. It fluctuates based on how people treat you, how often they are present in your life, and how much attention they give you. But when happiness comes from within, it is stable, unshaken by external circumstances. You no longer feel the need to seek constant validation because you already know your worth. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate happiness in solitude is to engage in self-discovery. Take time to explore your passions, your interests, and your talents. Try new things, challenge yourself, and step outside of your comfort zone. When you are alone, you have the freedom to pursue what truly excites you without the influence of others. You can develop skills, learn new hobbies, and invest in personal growth. The more you focus on self-improvement, the more fulfilling your solitude becomes. You start to see it as an opportunity rather than a limitation, as a time for creativity, self-expression, and growth. Another important aspect of being happy alone is shifting your mindset about solitude. Instead of seeing it as a sign of loneliness or isolation, see it as a gift. Solitude allows you to focus on yourself without distractions, to build a relationship with yourself that is as strong as any friendship or romantic connection. It gives you the space to heal from past wounds, to reflect on your experiences, and to gain clarity about what you truly want in life. When you start to appreciate solitude, you realize that it is not a state of lack, but a state of abundance. It is a time when you have full control over your thoughts, your time, and your energy. Self-love plays a crucial role in finding happiness alone. Many people struggle with solitude because they do not truly love themselves. They are constantly seeking approval, reassurance, and external affection to feel worthy. But true self-love means embracing who you are, flaws and all. It means treating yourself with kindness, respect, and compassion. It means speaking to yourself with the same warmth and encouragement that you would offer to a loved one. When you cultivate self-love, you no longer see solitude as a punishment, but as an opportunity to nurture and care for yourself. Creating a fulfilling routine is another way to enjoy being alone. Structure your days in a way that brings you joy and purpose. Engage in activities that make you feel alive, whether it is exercising, reading, writing, painting, or simply spending time in nature. Set personal goals and work towards them. When you have a sense of direction and purpose, solitude no longer feels empty. It becomes a time of productivity, creativity, and self-fulfillment. You begin to realize that you do not need company to feel motivated, inspired, or content. One of the most liberating aspects of learning to be happy alone is breaking free from societal expectations. Society often portrays solitude as something undesirable, as if being alone means being incomplete. But solitude is not a weakness, it is a strength. It is a sign of emotional independence, of self-awareness, and of inner stability. It means that you are not afraid to be with yourself, that you do not need external distractions to feel whole, and that you have built a life that is fulfilling on its own. Letting go of comparison is also key to finding happiness in solitude. In the age of social media, it is easy to fall into the trap of comparing your life to others. Seeing people travel in groups, celebrate special occasions with friends, or share their relationships online can create the illusion that everyone else is happier and more fulfilled. But happiness is not about how many people surround you, it is about how you feel when no one else is around. True happiness is not measured by social gatherings or external validation, but by the peace and contentment you feel within yourself. When you learn to be happy alone, you also develop stronger and healthier relationships. Instead of entering relationships out of loneliness or a need for validation, you connect with others from a place of wholeness. You no longer seek love to fill a void, but to complement the happiness you already have. You choose relationships based on genuine connection rather than fear of being alone. This leads to deeper, more meaningful interactions because you are not dependent on others for your happiness. You are simply sharing the joy that you have already created within yourself. There is a profound sense of freedom in knowing that you are enough on your own, that you do not need to prove your worth to anyone, that your happiness does not rely on external factors, and that you are fully capable of living a fulfilling life without constant validation. When you reach this level of self-sufficiency, solitude becomes a source of power rather than fear. You embrace your own company, you find joy in your own presence, and you create a life that is rich, meaningful, and complete no matter who is or isn't by your side. The fear of being alone is one of the most deeply ingrained fears in human nature. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that happiness is something we find outside of ourselves, that it is something that comes from relationships, from friendships, from social interactions, and from the approval of others. We are taught that being surrounded by people is a sign of success, that having constant companionship means we are loved, valued, and important. But what happens when the noise fades, when the crowd disappears, and when you find yourself alone? Does your happiness vanish with them? Do you feel lost, incomplete, or unsettled in your own presence? If the answer is yes, then it is not solitude that is the problem, it is the way you have been conditioned to perceive it. The ability to be happy alone is one of the greatest strengths a person can develop. It is the foundation of true self-fulfillment, inner peace, and emotional independence. It is not about rejecting relationships or isolating yourself from the world. It is about discovering the unshakable joy that comes from within, a joy that does not depend on the presence of others. It is about being able to sit with yourself, with your thoughts, with your emotions, and with your dreams, and find a sense of completeness without needing external distractions. It is about realizing that your happiness is not something that can be given or taken away by someone else. It is something that you create for yourself. One of the most common reasons people struggle with being alone is that they have never learned to truly connect with themselves. They spend their lives focused outward, looking for validation, approval, and love from others without ever taking the time to build a relationship with themselves. They define their worth based on how others treat them, how many friends they have, or how much attention they receive. But the truth is, no amount of external validation will ever be enough if you do not first validate yourself. No amount of love from others will fill the void if you do not first love yourself. This is why so many people feel lonely even in a crowded room, why they feel empty even when they are surrounded by others, because they have never learned to feel whole on their own. To be happy alone, you must first learn to enjoy your own company. Ask yourself, if you were to spend an entire day alone without distractions, would you enjoy it? Would you feel at peace? Or would you feel restless, anxious, or uncomfortable? If you struggle to be alone, it is not because solitude is unbearable. It is because you have not yet built a fulfilling relationship with yourself. You must start treating yourself the way you would treat a close friend. You must listen to yourself, understand yourself, and take care of yourself with kindness and patience. Instead of avoiding solitude, embrace it as an opportunity to deepen your self-awareness, to explore your thoughts, and to nurture your own happiness. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate happiness in solitude is through self-discovery. When you are alone, you have the freedom to explore who you truly are without any external influence. Take the time to reflect on your passions, your interests, and your values. Ask yourself, what excites you? What makes you feel alive? What are the things you have always wanted to do but never pursued because you were too busy seeking approval from others? This is your chance to focus on yourself, to develop your talents, to learn new skills, and to chase your dreams without hesitation. The more you invest in your own growth, the more fulfilling your solitude becomes. You start to see it not as a state of lack, but as a time of empowerment, creativity, and personal evolution. Another crucial aspect of being happy alone is learning to silence the inner critic. Many people struggle with solitude because in the absence of distractions, they are left alone with their own self-doubt, insecurities, and fears. They judge themselves harshly, replay past mistakes, and allow negative thoughts to take over. But being alone should not mean being at war with yourself. It should be a time of self-compassion, of healing, and of acceptance. When you learn to replace self-criticism with self-encouragement, when you start treating yourself with the same kindness that you offer to others, solitude becomes a source of strength rather than discomfort. Society often equates being alone with loneliness, but they are not the same. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness that comes from believing that something is missing. But being alone is simply a state of being. It is neither good nor bad on its own. It is how you perceive it that makes the difference. When you see solitude as an opportunity for self-growth, for inner peace, and for personal fulfillment, it transforms into something beautiful. You begin to cherish your alone time as much as you cherish time spent with others. You no longer feel the need to constantly seek company because you have built a life that is fulfilling on its own. One of the greatest benefits of learning to be happy alone is that it strengthens your relationships. When you are content in your own company, you no longer enter relationships out of desperation or loneliness. You no longer seek validation from others because you already know your own worth. This allows you to form deeper, healthier connections with people based on genuine love and respect, rather than on a need to fill a void. You attract relationships that complement your happiness rather than ones that define it. You become less dependent on external factors to feel complete, and as a result, your relationships become stronger and more meaningful. Another key to embracing solitude is shifting your perspective on it. Instead of seeing it as a time of isolation, see it as a time of freedom. You have the freedom to live on your own terms, to pursue what makes you happy, and to build a life that aligns with your true self. You do not have to compromise your dreams to fit into someone else's expectations. You do not have to rely on others to give your life meaning. You have the power to create your own joy, to shape your own experiences, and to define your own happiness. In the end, the most important lesson about being happy alone is that it is not about rejecting the world, it is about embracing yourself. It is about realizing that you are enough, that you have always been enough, and that your happiness does not depend on anyone else. It is about finding peace in your own presence, about falling in love with the life you are creating for yourself. And when you reach that point, when you no longer fear solitude, but instead welcome it with open arms, you unlock a kind of happiness that is unshakable, unbreakable, and entirely your own. In a world that constantly pushes us towards social validation, it can be challenging to recognize the power of solitude. We live in an era where being alone is often seen as a weakness, as if it signifies a lack of belonging or purpose. But what if I told you that learning to be happy alone is one of the most powerful skills you can develop? What if I told you that true strength comes from finding peace within yourself without the need for external validation? Many people fear being alone because they associate it with loneliness, but these are two very different things. Loneliness is the absence of connection, But solitude is the presence of self. When you learn to embrace solitude, you unlock a world of self-discovery, creativity, and inner peace. You learn that you do not need to constantly surround yourself with people to feel fulfilled. You realize that your happiness is not dependent on the presence of others, but on your ability to be content with yourself. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with being alone is that they have never learned to enjoy their own company. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek validation from others, to measure our worth by how many friends we have, how many likes we get on social media, or how much attention we receive. But what happens when all of that is taken away? Who are you when there is no one around to validate you? Can you still find joy in your existence without an audience? This is where true self-love begins. It is not about how others perceive you. It is about how you perceive yourself. To be happy alone, you must develop a deep understanding of yourself. You must become comfortable with your thoughts, your emotions, and your presence. Spend time reflecting on your dreams, your goals, and your passions. Ask yourself what truly makes you happy, not what society tells you should make you happy. When you stop looking for happiness outside of yourself, you begin to realize that everything you need is already within you. People often fill their lives with noise and distractions to avoid facing themselves. They drown out their thoughts with social media, constant entertainment, or meaningless conversations. But when you strip away these distractions, you are left with yourself, and that can be an uncomfortable experience for many. However, instead of fearing this silence, embrace it. Use it as an opportunity to understand yourself better. The more you listen to yourself, the more you will realize that you are your own best friend. Another crucial aspect of being happy alone is learning to enjoy solitude rather than seeing it as a punishment. Instead of thinking, I am alone because no one wants to be with me, shift your perspective to, I am alone because I value my time with myself. This small change in mindset can transform the way you experience solitude. When you see alone time as a gift rather than a burden, you begin to cherish it. One way to cultivate happiness in solitude is by engaging in activities that bring you joy. Take up a hobby that excites you, whether it's painting, writing, gardening, or playing an instrument. Find something that you can immerse yourself in, something that makes you forget about the outside world. When you are passionate about something, your alone time becomes a source of fulfillment rather than discomfort. You begin to realize that your happiness is not dependent on social interactions, but on your ability to enjoy the things that truly matter to you. Self-care also plays a significant role in being happy alone. Treat yourself with kindness and respect. Take care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Exercise regularly, eat nutritious food, and prioritize rest. Develop routines that make you feel good about yourself. When you nurture yourself, you build a sense of self-worth that does not rely on anyone else. You learn that you are enough just as you are. Another important lesson in solitude is self-acceptance. Many people struggle with being alone because they are too busy criticizing themselves. They replay their mistakes, compare themselves to others, and focus on their perceived flaws. But self-acceptance means embracing yourself fully, the good, the bad, and everything in between. It means understanding that you are a work in progress, and that is okay. When you stop judging yourself and start accepting yourself, being alone becomes a peaceful experience rather than a painful one. Solitude also gives you the opportunity to disconnect from societal expectations and reconnect with your true self. In a world that constantly tells you who you should be, solitude allows you to figure out who you actually are. It helps you separate your authentic desires from the pressures of others. It allows you to redefine success on your own terms and build a life that aligns with your true values. Another beautiful thing about learning to be happy alone is that it makes your relationship stronger. When you are content with yourself, you no longer seek validation from others. You no longer enter relationships out of need or loneliness, but out of genuine connection. You become a person who brings value to relationships rather than someone who relies on them for happiness. You learn that love is not about filling a void, but about sharing your completeness with another person. One of the most powerful realizations you will have on this journey is that solitude is not the absence of company, but the presence of self-awareness. When you learn to enjoy your own company, you stop fearing solitude. You begin to see it as a sacred space where you can recharge, reflect, and grow. You start to appreciate the quiet moments, the deep conversations you have with yourself, and the peace that comes with knowing that you are enough on your own. Being happy alone is not about rejecting relationships or isolating yourself from the world. It is about developing a strong foundation of self-love, confidence, and independence. It is about recognizing that while relationships add value to life, they do not define your worth. You are whole, you are complete, and you are capable of creating your own happiness. Many people spend their entire lives searching for happiness in the wrong places. They believe that they will be happy when they find the perfect partner, when they have more friends, when they achieve success, or when they gain approval from others. But happiness does not come from external sources. It comes from within. It is a choice you make every day. It is an attitude, a mindset, and a way of living. When you stop searching for happiness outside of yourself and start cultivating it within, you experience a freedom that is unshakable. You no longer depend on others to feel good about yourself. You no longer fear being alone because you have built a life that is fulfilling on its own. You become the source of your own joy, and that is the greatest power you can ever have. Life is a journey that is often filled with expectations placed upon us by society, our families, and even ourselves. We are taught from an early age that happiness comes from external sources, the people we surround ourselves with, the relationships we cultivate, and the validation we receive. But what if that isn't the whole truth? What if real happiness comes from within, from the ability to find joy in solitude, to embrace the quiet moments, and to be content with our own company? There is a common misconception that being alone is something to be avoided. Many people fear it, associating it with loneliness, isolation, and a sense of being unwanted. But the truth is, being alone does not mean being lonely. Loneliness is the feeling of emptiness when we lack meaningful connections, while solitude is the ability to enjoy one's own presence. There is a profound difference between the two, and understanding this difference is the first step toward true happiness. To be happy alone, one must first shift their mindset. It is not about being forced into solitude, but rather about embracing it as an opportunity for self-discovery and growth. Most people spend their lives looking outward for happiness, constantly seeking approval from others, measuring their worth by social status, relationships, and achievements. But when we take a step back and realize that our happiness is not dependent on anyone else, we unlock a new level of freedom. The moment we stop expecting others to complete us, we realize that we were always whole on our own. One of the most significant aspects of learning to be happy alone is self-acceptance. Many of us go through life with a constant inner critic, doubting ourselves, questioning our worth, and comparing ourselves to others. We look at social media and see carefully curated images of people who appear to have it all: relationships, success, happiness, while we feel like we are missing something. But the truth is, everyone has their own struggles, their own insecurities, and their own moments of loneliness. The key is to stop looking outside and start looking within. Accepting yourself for who you are, flaws and all, is one of the greatest acts of self-love. When you embrace your strengths and weaknesses, when you stop chasing perfection and start appreciating your uniqueness, being alone stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a blessing. Another powerful way to cultivate happiness in solitude is to develop a strong sense of purpose. When you have something meaningful to work towards, something that excites you, you begin to enjoy your own company. You no longer feel the need to constantly seek distractions or surround yourself with people to fill a void. Instead, you wake up every day with a sense of fulfillment, knowing that your life has direction. Whether it's a passion project, a creative pursuit, or personal growth, having a purpose makes solitude meaningful. It turns alone time into an opportunity for progress rather than something to be endured. Many people struggle with being alone because they don't know what to do with their time. They rely on external stimulation, endless scrolling on social media, binge watching television, or seeking constant entertainment to avoid sitting with their own thoughts. But what if instead of running from solitude, we embraced it as a chance to reconnect with ourselves? Taking time to engage in activities that bring us joy, that nourish our souls, and that allow us to express ourselves can turn alone time into something beautiful. Whether it's reading, writing, painting, playing music, or simply going for a walk in nature, these moments of solitude become moments of peace. Another crucial aspect of being happy alone is practicing gratitude. Too often we focus on what we lack instead of appreciating what we have. We think, if only I had more friends, if only I had a partner, if only I had a better job, then I would be happy. But true happiness does not come from having more, it comes from appreciating what already exists. When we shift our focus from what is missing to what is present, we begin to see the beauty in our own lives. Gratitude allows us to find joy in the little things, in the quiet moments, in the simple pleasures that are often overlooked. When we train ourselves to recognize these blessings, we no longer feel empty in solitude, we feel abundant. Self-care also plays a significant role in happiness. Taking care of our physical, emotional, and mental well-being is an act of self-respect. It is a way of telling ourselves, I am worthy of love, even if it is only from me. When we prioritize our health, when we nourish our bodies with good food, when we move in ways that make us feel strong, And when we engage in activities that bring us peace, we build a deep sense of self-worth. We realize that we do not need anyone else to make us feel valued because we are already taking care of ourselves. Solitude is also an opportunity to deepen our understanding of ourselves. In the chaos of daily life, we rarely take the time to reflect on who we are, what we want, and what truly makes us happy. Being alone allows us to ask ourselves important questions. What are my dreams? What are my fears? What brings me joy? What do I want from life? When we take the time to reflect, we gain clarity. And clarity gives us the power to create a life that aligns with our true desires. Another important realization is that when we learn to be happy alone, our relationships become healthier. Many people enter relationships out of loneliness, seeking someone else to fill a void within them. But when we are content on our own, we do not need others to complete us. We simply enjoy their presence without depending on them for happiness. This allows for deeper, more authentic connections where love is given freely rather than out of need. Being happy alone does not mean rejecting relationships or isolating ourselves from the world. It means becoming so secure in our own existence that we do not rely on others to define our worth. It means knowing that we are enough, just as we are, and that our happiness is not dependent on external circumstances. It is about developing a sense of inner peace, a quiet confidence that allows us to navigate life with strength and grace. One of the most beautiful things about solitude is that it teaches us resilience. It shows us that we can handle life's challenges on our own, that we are capable of overcoming obstacles without needing constant support from others. It builds inner strength, the kind of strength that allows us to stand tall even when the world feels uncertain. When we learn to be happy alone, we become unshakable. People often chase happiness in external things, relationships, material possessions, achievements, but true happiness is an inside job. It is not something we find, it is something we create. When we learn to be happy alone, we realize that we have always had the power to be content within ourselves. We stop searching for validation, we stop fearing solitude, and we start embracing the incredible, limitless potential that exists within us.